The Charlotte Hornets have had quite the interesting draft and trade history here over the last few years. So, with the end of an era in Charlotte with Michael Jordan selling the team, Mitch Kupchak's still around, but MJ is on the way out. I wanted to take a look at the last 5 years of trades, the quote unquote recent trade history of the Charlotte Hornets, and just take a look at how things have turned out. Of course, we're headed in the right direction, hopefully, with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. Brandon Miller's cool. Would have liked to have Scoot Henderson. Brandon Miller, he's going to be a very valuable player for us as well. So we're going to be looking at all of that and more in today's video. Also a little preview of the season. So make sure to the like button and leave me a comment down below if you do enjoy today's video at any point. Also hit that subscribe button because as you can see here, basically our entire audience is not subscribed to the channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can change that. Now let's go ahead and get started looking at the rebuild which would take us from the Kemba Walker days to the LaMelo Ball days. And hopefully this is not another point guard that we fail to put talent around forever. Well, I mean, we've already given LaMelo more talent than Kemba really ever had. LaMelo just hadn't entered his prime yet. So here's the first trade, and I think this is a W trade for us. Sending Kemba to the Celtics for Terry Rozier. Instead of paying Kemba 5 years, the max contract essentially, we gave Kemba with no knees to the Boston Celtics, and you can see how drastically his scoring drops off, almost down 6 points a game, or 5 points a game, his first year in Boston. Now the assist, well, they went down too. Just his overall usage went down. He was an all-star his first year in Boston, but it was downhill from there, and then his knees gave out by about the 2021-2022 season. As for Terry Rozier, he went from averaging 9 points to 18 points, and then he's averaged about 20 or 21 ever since that 2019-2020 season. He's played over 60 games every year in Charlotte, has dealt with some ankle injuries, but overall a good trade for the Hornets. Now on draft night, we saw a Nick Richards trade where we gave up a 2024 second round pick, which of course has not yet been used, in order to move up with the Pelicans and take Nick Richards. Richards is a serviceable backup center. Would rather have Mason Plumlee, but Nick Richards will work. So there's that. Then you have the Gordon Hayward sign and trade, where he comes over from the Boston Celtics in exchange for like a couple second round picks. I think the Hornets actually got a second round pick out of this as well. But yeah, these were his stats. As you can see, Boston, he was all right. Stepped it up his first year in Charlotte, but has yet to play over 50 games in a single season. Very, very irreliable. If that's a word, unreliable, I guess is the word for that. But his points per game have gone down every year he's been in Charlotte, which is very unfortunate. Another thing that's very unfortunate is that we gave up a future first-round pick for Kai Jones. And I believe that is the future first-round pick that is now in San Antonio. This has been a very disappointing trade for us so far because Kai really has done nothing in a Charlotte Hornets uniform, and it's been 3 years. So hopefully he can start to do something before long. But also on that draft night, we would complete like a sign and trade, or it wasn't on draft night, but we would end up getting JT Thor and Mason Plumlee from the Detroit Pistons for a second round pick. And that was a really, really good trade for us. Great value for a second round pick. Now, another good trade for us was the sign and trade of Devontae Graham for a first round pick. As you can see here, his stats while he was in Charlotte were good. Inefficient, but good. He shot 9 threes per game, and he shot at 37% from 3. That's solid. Ever since he got traded, he's just fallen off a cliff. And his usage rate, his minutes have fallen off a cliff. The first round pick that we traded for Devontae becomes Jalen Duren, who I probably would have rather keep him, but we trade him to the Detroit Pistons for a 2023 Denver first-round pick and 4 seconds. I didn't track down those 4 second-round picks, but that 2023 first-round pick becomes Nick Smith Jr., who this year, it's either him or Teo Maledon in the backup point guard race for us, and I'd honestly prefer Nick Smith Jr. We saw him put, 33 on the board in the Summer League. I'm excited for Nick Smith Jr., former number 1 overall recruit. I think he can be a Jaden Hardy type guy that due to injuries falls down the board, but, elite talent out of Arkansas. Then we have basically an irrelevant trade where we sent Ish Smith and a second round pick to Washington for Montrezl Harrell, and both of those guys really did not make an impact at all. Bryce McGowan's, we did make a draft night trade for him, sent a second round pick over, and was able to pick up the services of McGowan, who, he hadn't really gotten a shot yet, but he's been in the league for 1 year. That brings us to this year's trade deadline, where Mason Plumlee was traded to Reggie Jackson, who was then bought out, signed with the Denver Nuggets, and won him a ring. So win-win trade there for Reggie Jackson. Mason Plumlee, like I said, I would have loved to keep him, but you can't have everything. And then this was a horrible trade. We sent Jalen McDaniels to Philadelphia for Svi Mykhailiuk and a second-round pick. Those two, our deadline really, really upset me this year. We got 2 second-round picks, Svi Mykhailiuk and Reggie Jackson. Come on now. We could get a little bit better of a return for a couple of rotation pieces. Now, a Hornets move that we did make is the PJ Washington re-signing, which actually happened today, so I decided to throw it into this video. He averaged 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game last year in Charlotte. And having him back is going to be huge for us. 45% from the field, 35% from three. Probably our most versatile defender with a steal and a block per game. Really, elite on the defensive side of the ball just because he can do so many different things. So PJ Washington, that's a great re-signing. Really good value there. No Hornets fans should be complaining with that contract. And the Hornets low-key have him a little squad this year. If everybody stays healthy, we got Airbnb is back. We got Terry Rozier, another guy that can put up 20 points a game, although his usage will be down. We got Mark Williams, an absolute force in the paint. It's at 7'2" with a 9'9" standing reach. It's almost impossible to get a shot off over him. And then you got the rookie Brandon Miller, the number 2 overall pick that led the country in scoring last year for freshmen. Put up 20 and 8 on a stacked up Alabama team that, he didn't look good in the tournament, but it's the tournament. That's where the locks are brought out. Very different from the NBA style of play. So this is a solid starting lineup. I have optimism, which as a Hornets fan is a very dangerous thing, but it's there. So I'm hoping for the best. And then you take a look at the bench. Backup point guard is a question mark. Is it going to be Nick Smith Jr. or is it going to be, Theo Maledon? I don't know. Backup center could be JT Thor, could be Kai Jones, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Nick Richards. JT Thor could take that spot, but I feel like Nick Richards, we paid him 3 years, $15 million. He's going to be the backup center. Cody Martin and PJ Washington will be the first 2 guys off the bench. It'll probably be PJ, then Cody, and then Gordon Hayward. Those are our top 3 bench pieces. Then Nick Richards probably as the 9th guy. Nick Smith Jr., Theo Maledon, whoever it is as the backup point guard. Probably going to be like the 5th guy off the bench. LaMelo is going to get a lot of minutes this year. Basically had last year off with all the injuries, so he's going to get himself a lot of minutes this year. These 3 guys are really in it. Well, the 2 on the right are in a make-or-break season. Bryce McGowan's, he's still chilling, only his 2nd year, but I would love to see him get some PT because I think he can make the most of it. However, the Nick Smith Jr. pick kind of ruined his chances this year at any minutes. Same thing with James Bouknight. He had his shot last year, did not make the most of it. And unfortunately for Bouknight, it's looking like another Malik Monk situation in Charlotte. If he goes elsewhere and turns up and becomes a 6th man of the year, I will be outraged. But I don't know. It could happen, but I don't know. But yeah, with that being said, that's going to be about it for today's video. I like this Hornets squad this year. I think we can make the playoffs, but again, biased Hornets fans here. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Make sure to like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications. This is the place you want to be if you like NBA content. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.